Hey everyone, Ben here and welcome back to the channel. Today we're in for something a little bit different. We're in Assetto Corsa Competizione, trying out Low Fuel Motorsport, an online platform to try and recreate something like the iRacing competition system for Assetto Corsa Competizione. So I've entered the platform, I've qualified for my rookie license. In order to do that, you need to do a 7-lap hot stint at the Hungaroring, and we're now looking to participate in the remaining season races for Season 4 in the GT3 Rookie Sprint Series. You can see on screen there are other series you can take part in, a GT4 series and a longer GT3 championship, but for the time being we can only qualify for the Rookie GT3 series. Alongside the rating and safety measures, there's also a championship season which is tracked throughout the 12-week schedule. As I say, we're in week 10, we're racing at Suzuka today, and we're getting ready to get underway on the formation lap. There's a grid of 21 cars. Unfortunately, our qualifying did not go that well. We are starting in 18th on the grid. We're running the stock safe setup. That may have been a bit of a mistake. I'm driving in the Tech Track Aston Martin car there that you can see just funneling through into the chicane here as we get ready to get racing. Maybe I should have gone for something a bit more aggressive because I was definitely struggling for pace during qualifying, but maybe that's just the standard we've got to reach, and actually it's going to take just a little bit of getting used to driving in this series. But without further ado, let's get down into the cockpit. Here we go then, waiting for the green lights as we're crawling down the start-finish straight, just not wanting to go too early. We've got to hold our speed then, very nearly underway here as we're just tucking in underneath the rear wing of Thill up ahead, and there's the green lights and we are underway. Big aim here is just to get through the opening lap unscathed. I've got no idea what to expect in terms of racing standards or quality. We're in around the outside. I know I've got a car on my inside. I think I might have just ran it slightly wide there. We got up onto the curbs, but we managed to hold the car even though it wanted to let loose and spin around on us. We're managing to just keep alongside the car on our inside, the BMW. We then are actually fighting for another position up ahead of us, again with a car on our inside here. We're going to have to, in the end, just tuck in behind him because unfortunately we were pushed off the racing line there, giving him space, and that means we're going to be back down into 18th position. I think maybe we have gained a position, not sure yet. We'll wait until the standings update fully. Yes, it looks like we're up into 17th position and everybody has gotten through safely as we come through Degner 1 and Degner 2 on this opening lap at Suzuka. We've got Salm up ahead of us in the Ferrari. We get a little bit earlier on the brakes, just avoid running too far into traffic there, as the concertina effect on these opening laps with the pack so close together is quite significant, and we're still getting the car up to temperature and tyres crucially up to pressure as well. They're still a little bit low, so the car won't be handling optimally at this point of the race, and you can tell that we're going too deep into Spoon. That's going to be a big challenge for us then, as the BMW behind us is putting pressure on. We're going to be slow all the way down the back straight as well. We've lost a little bit of touch with Salm up ahead, and now we've got Simulia behind us, undoubtedly going to be putting some pressure on as we come towards the end of this opening lap. Here we go through 130 off the first time, and we are much too cautious through there. Look at the BMW closing up behind us. He's going to have a run down into the chicane for the first time. He's alongside us, and actually he's past us as he hits the apex. He gets the car slowed down, and we have to settle for slotting back into 18th position at the end of lap 1. So we have not made great strides up the field. We've got a 2.5 second gap back to Altea behind us, but unfortunately we qualified in 18th and we're still running in 18th at the end of this first lap. It looks like we really are going to be scrapping with the cars alongside us at best here through this 25-minute race. Through the first corner again, then into the S's for the second time, hoping that the car is going to be slightly more responsive as we're getting pressures and temperatures where they need to be, but still you can see me fighting the wheel to just try and get the car pointed in. We've got one car off to the left hand side. That's going to give us an extra place here. It looks as if he's parked up, actually, is not rejoining. That promotes us up into 17th place once more as the BMW up ahead gets a little bit untidy on the exit, runs it out onto the gravel. That's going to give us a little bit of impetus coming up behind him. Up ahead, there's another car off. Look at that, into the gravel. I think that Sam has just got it wrong through the Degners. He will rejoin behind us, but that's going to put us up into 16th position. So we've actually made a couple of positions on this second lap. A very neat and tidy first lap from almost everybody, but mistakes creeping in on lap 2, which have promoted us up a couple of spots. The question is going to be, can we make more progress through this race? Can we consolidate the gains we've already made? Coming into a new competition system like this with no real read as to what the standard is and what the racing is going to be like, I really am just looking to make some small gains. Anything will be good. Any advance on where we qualified, as again I'm fighting the car on the exit of Spoon. That is a real weak spot for me. In almost all sims that I drive, actually, that corner, I never seem to master it, and it's such an important part of the track. With a bit of breathing space, let's go back and check out the start then. We there are on the left hand side of the track in the dark blue Aston Martin, hanging it around the outside. We get up on the curb and look at how unsettled the car is. You can see just the twitch there as we nearly lost the back end. But everybody 2 by 2 through the corner, and then we've got the blue BMW trying to make a move down our inside, but we managed to just let the car roll into the next part of the S's, which actually gets us alongside the Ferrari just about as we hang it then around the outside of the following corner, and unfortunately we just have to settle for tucking back in alongside behind him because we couldn't hold it around that final part of the track. Here we go then towards the end of the lap, and here's where we take it far too cautiously through 130R, and that is going to give the BMW behind us a run, and in the end it's quite a straightforward pass. I wasn't going to fight it overly, my mistake running into the corner, and so better to live to fight another day on that one. We rejoin the race then with about 5 minutes gone on the very next lap, and you can see up ahead a driver making a mistake in the BMW. That's Thill, and that's going to give Similia a real run on him into the Degners here, but he's going to be on the outside. That's not where you really want to be, running 2 cars side by side through the Degners, and actually the BMW pays the price for that. He's ran it out wide into the gravel. That gives us another spot. We're up into 15th and have actually closed right in on the car up ahead. Just half a second to go until we're going to be in a position to try and mount an overtake on the BMW up ahead of us. So actually, although it was a pretty steady opening lap or 2, we have made some positions up here. We're up 3 spots on where we qualified and running quite nicely now. The car feels a little bit more responsive. The pressures are where they should be, or certainly getting towards that point. The temperatures feel pretty good, and even coming through that corner there, although I'm still fighting the car somewhat, it does feel a little bit better than it did on lap 1 and lap 2 of this race. So now the challenge is, can we get up into 14th position, put a bit of pressure on the car ahead and make up a further spot? It looks like the gap is slightly bigger up into 13th, so this is the battle as it stands that we should be focusing on. The BMW behind closes right in again, under braking. More confident on the brakes than we are, but we've held quite nicely up to the car up ahead of us, so still under a second to him just up ahead as we cross the start finish line once again, and we're getting into the middle section of this race. Brake as late as we dare into T1. We just want to keep it nice and steady through here, but he's made a big mistake up ahead, off into the grass on the infield. Look at the extra pace we've got. We're going to go for it. We've got to try and hang it around the outside here, stick alongside him, give him plenty of space on the inside. That gives us the inside for the next corner. He'll be struggling with dirty tyres, and that has given us the momentum to get through and make a brilliant pass through the S's. We had to be a bit brave there. We had to trust the other driver that he wasn't going to understeer into us, but we both managed to get through. But unfortunately, in seeking to consolidate that, I ran wide at the end of the S's, and that has put us off into the gravel, and we've lost 3 places. Far from gaining 1, we've actually tumbled down the order by just not keeping it nice and tidy in taking that position I just got a little bit over eager on the accelerator to try and make sure I didn't come back under pressure, and that is a real shame, as I'm now just trying to keep in touch with Sam, the Ferrari up ahead, who's managed to get back past us after he made a mistake on the opening couple of laps. That's a real shame, and actually a very avoidable mistake if I just kept it neat and tidy into the inside of that corner, just been patient on applying the throttle rather than too eager, then I could have been up into 14th position in this race. As it is, I've got it all to do again. The good news is I think I'm reasonably well matched for pace with these guys. We've got 17 minutes left of the race to try and make our way back up. For now, let's take a look at how that all played out then. You can see the driver up ahead making the big mistake through T1. That gives us the initiative, but we have to seize it, and we did. We're still on the outside at this point, but we're able to hang the car around and just bully our way through while giving him enough space on the other side of the track. The BMW behind us fancied a sniff as well, but couldn't squeeze past. And at this point, we're sitting pretty. We've got the advantage, but unfortunately I was just too keen on the gas, out just very slightly off the track. But once you are, it's very difficult to get the car back on without losing a lot of speed, which we did, and that enabled 3 drivers to get past us. We've rejoined a couple of laps later then, with 15 minutes left of this sprint race. We've managed to just about hold on to the drivers up ahead, but we're having to push quite hard in order to do so. And actually, I haven't really been able to put too much pressure on in the way that I'd maybe hoped I would have been able to. But just as I say that, the car up ahead has made a big mistake. That's Till again. He's gone off at the hairpin, and that allows us to squeeze back past up into 16th position. So we've managed to get one of those spots back as we hit the midpoint of this race very shortly, and we'll be able to then focus our attention on Sam up ahead. It looks like Similia in the BMW has probably got just a bit more pace than all of us, to be honest. It's pretty close, but it's going to be very difficult, I think, to mount an attack on him unless he makes a mistake, whereas Sam and I seem to have more closely matched pace. So we're coming through 130R again, then I'm trying to build up my confidence through this corner, run the car out a little bit wider each time to just carry more pace through. Remember to get hard on the brakes here, and look at that, Sam up ahead has made a small mistake through the chicane there. I think he's gotten away with it, but he went very deep into the corner, which will have cost him some time, and he's about 1.2 seconds up the road then on us as we're about to take the start-finish line to set our quickest lap of the race so far. That was really the story of that middle part of the race. We've rejoined the live action now with about 5 minutes left on the clock, and we are slowly but surely reeling Sam in, but we haven't really been able to mount any significant pressure yet. There was a little bit of stalemate through that middle part of the race. We were both in a decent rhythm, but neither of us were able to decisively break away from our general pace as we come through the Degners one more time. We're into the final phase of this race then, and Sam has finally made a mistake. That's what I've been waiting for, to try and put on an extra bit of pressure there on the exit of the Degners. He got it wrong, and that's going to allow us to squeeze right up onto his rear wing here, and it's now going to be a case of, can we manage to mount a proper overtaking attempt on him through the final part of this race. As expected, Similia has basically vanished. He's 4.3 seconds up the road now. Very doubtful, unless he makes a big mistake, that we're going to be able to claw our way up into 14th spot. But 15th is very much up for grabs here as we come through Spoon once again. Sam very wide there in the second part of the corner. That's going to give us a little bit more impetus coming down the back straight here, and you can see his back end just straining to come around on him a little bit there on the exit of the corner. We have got a bit of overspeed on him here, but we really don't want to go through 130R side by side, so I'm going to have to get off the gas before following him through that corner. That's going to give him a little bit of respite coming into the chicane at the end of the lap, and we get the car slowed down, clip the curb on the inside, and try and line ourselves up nicely for the start-finish straight once again. 4 minutes left then on the race clock. We've got about a second gap back to Phil behind us. Hopefully that's going to be enough of a buffer that we don't come under significant pressure from him, and then we've got a much bigger gap back to La Junta in 18th, around 9 seconds, so that shouldn't be a problem as we head into the final stage of this race. Once again you can see Sam is just struggling with the car, getting turned in We're not having a great time either, I must say, on these tyres. The Aston Martin I thought would be more planted than it feels right now. I'm having to continually correct for little bits of oversteer here and there, despite being on the safe setup for this race as we're coming through the S's once again here and following in close proximity to Sam as we come up the hill once more. There's not really going to be an opportunity to overtake here unless he makes a mistake into the Degners. It's really just about trying to stay close, but you can see that it's very difficult to follow the car up ahead. The car sort of washes out when you're within too close a distance, and I was really struggling there to keep the foot planted because we were just understeering horribly. Into the hairpin once again then, take a tighter line. That's going to give us hopefully a little bit of a better exit than the car up ahead, as maybe we can get an opportunity into Spoon or possibly the chicane at the end of the lap. That's what I'm trying to build for here, or just put enough pressure that we see a further mistake. 0.2 seconds the gap then as we come into the left-hander. Try and keep it nice and tight to the left-hand side while giving us enough room to get the turn in for the second part of the corner. That's not too bad actually as we come through the exit and onto the back straight, but Sam looks like he's got a decent gap. This could work for us though if we've got a little bit more breathing space through 130R. It will mean I won't have to come off the gas to the same extent that I did on the last lap. We follow him through then, try and run it out wide, but we've ran too wide. We've carried too much speed through that corner. He ran a bit wide as well. The opportunity is not going to be there this lap. Therefore we have to again just size it up for the following lap. We take a little bit too much curb, but it hasn't cost us too much. And again, we're just within half a second of the driver up ahead. Just 2 minutes left of this race, probably 2 racing laps, I estimate, from this point, given the gap to the leaders as we're closing in, as we come down into T1 again, trying to just brake as late as we dare and try and put enough pressure on him through the second part of this corner that he makes a mistake. But actually, he's taken that very nicely, and it was ourselves that nearly ran in too hot. Clipped the inner curb there, down into second gear through the second part of the S's. He's made a mistake, he's oversteered wide. That's going to give us the chance down the inside, and we're able to take the position at last after 4 or 5 minutes of closing right in on the car up ahead and really pushing him through some of those corners. A final mistake was made and we were able to sneak on past and up into 15th position with just 1 minute 20 seconds of this race left. Can we hold on then to what would be a very solid finish? I mean, it's not pulling up any trees. We're only finishing 15th out of a field of 21, but with a qualifying that put us down into 18th, our first race in LFM. I would be very happy with this indeed, as we take a slightly wide line through the hairpin. That gives Sam just a little bit of an invitation to try and think about a line down the inside, but we're able to cover that off on the exit as we're coming up the hill then once again towards Spoon. One more lap after this, the leader's on the final lap now. We get on the brakes just a little bit late, but we should be able to recover it, join the racing line once again, and then come through into the second part of the corner. We got Sam alongside us and he's given us a tap, and we're round. We can't keep a hold of the car. We just about avoid making contact, and that has ruined our race as we try and get the car turned around, get out of neutral and get back facing the right direction and on the gas. We've dropped down to 18th position by the looks of things, as we look like we might get passed again by Len in the Mercedes, who's closing in fast. We're just trying to get back up to speed, and that is such a shame. It had been a great race with those guys up until that point. Lots of fair jousting between us, and unfortunately as Sam was just trying to get one down the inside of us, there was contact, and until we see a replay we won't quite know whether we just put too much of a squeeze towards the apex or whether in fact it was Sam misjudging a move down our inside. So let's take a look at that replay and see whether we can find out a little bit more. There he is, coming through on our inside. We're following the racing line. Oh, and it looks like he might just slide into the car, and a very small bit of contact was enough to send us around. Let's try and take a look from another angle there, because it's not quite clear, but it looks like he loses traction into the second part of the corner. Let's see what happens here then. He's trying to make a late dive, and yeah, you can see the back end just coming around slightly, and he basically steers into us. I'm not sure he's fully got control of the car at that point. We'll take a final look from Sam's on board and just see how this played out from his perspective. He can sense an opportunity because we ran a bit wide. He's so far so good, but yeah, the back end is just going around on him, and he can't stop himself from tagging us through the second part of the corner. That is a real shame. So we rejoin on the very next lap, and what happens next is, I think, really, really cool, and big credit to Jonas Salm, who's the other driver involved in that clash. He slows down and he lets us past, and in the in-game chat he also sent an apology. So he gave us the position back, costing himself a number of positions in doing so, but I just think that speaks so well of him as a racer, and actually it's given me a lot of encouragement for the kinds of guys who are racing on low fuel motorsport generally. So we cut to the end of the race then. We couldn't make up any of those positions back, but we will finish in 18th spot, which in the end is where we qualified for our first race on this platform. It could have been better. It was an unfortunate accident, I think, which meant that we ended up dropping back down the order. There's the final classifications. You can see Sam ended up coming in behind us. Endless respect to him for trying to atone for that error. Here's how the championship points on the right hand side are recorded, as well as the changes to the ELO and safety rating. So we lost a little bit of ELO, we gained a little bit of safety rating. We had 14 championship points to our name. And there's a full breakdown of all of our lap times from the race as well. Here's a little look at the individual driver profiles as well, which will give you a sense of how some of the statistics and data are recorded. We've dropped a little bit down below the starter rating of 1500, but our safety rating has improved as a result of that race, and only picking up the 4 incident points. So there you go, guys. Low Fuel Motorsport, the iRacing platform for Assetto Corsa Competizione. I really, really enjoyed my first race, and I'll definitely be back next week at Zandvoort for another go and another race to see if we can't make some improvements on where we were in this race. I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, leave a like, get subscribed, and I will see you on the next one.